Hello! In the spirit of the holiday season, we're going to be doing a Christmas craft today. But in the spirit of the sciencey season, we're going to be doing a science Christmas craft today. That's right, we're having a science Christmas craft show off. Let's get started! Growing your own crystals is such a fun thing to do all year round, but especially fun at Christmas time because you can make snowflake crystals. That's what we're going to be doing today, is making snowflake crystals and using 3 different ways to grow our own snowflake crystals. And we're going to test out those methods, see which one we like the best, and talk about the science of why crystals grow in the first place. There are some materials you need regardless of the method. For every single method, you need a cup. So I have 3 cups here. My lovely women scientist cups helping me out here. Pipe cleaners to make your snowflakes. Pencils and some string. My string is out of reach over there. Or some sort of other apparatus for suspending your snowflake in the glass. And then you'll finally need some boiling water for all 3 methods. For the individual methods, we're going to need borax for method 1. Table salt for method 2, and epsom salts for method 3. I'm going to go ahead and get my string, start making my snowflakes, and tying them to my glasses. Alright, I have my little snowflake marionettes complete. I'm going to actually set those aside for a second, and I've learned that making pipe cleaner snowflakes is not my forte. So now we're going to focus on adding in the different crystally making things that I have here. So for the borax, we're going to need approximately 3 tablespoons of borax for each, can't talk and scoop at the same time, 3 tablespoons of borax for approximately each cup we're adding. This is about 2 cups of water into this cup, so I'm going to put in 6 tablespoons of borax. For my salt one, basically we're just trying to add as much salt as we can. So I'm going to try to fill this container about halfway up with salt and see if that's enough. Good amount of salt. And then for our Epsom salt one, we're going for about equal parts as well. So similar of about halfway up. Alright, now we're going to pour in our boiling water and mix. And we're not going to burn ourselves. Now we mix them up so that we're trying to dissolve as much of our borax salt and Epsom salt as possible. This might take a while to stir to get as much of it dissolved as possible. But you really want as much of this powder dissolved into liquid as possible for maximum crystallage. Alright, once those are stirred up as much as we could possibly get them, drop in your snowflakes. Now we have to let it cool and sit overnight, and we'll see what crystals form. Next day, here we are. It's the next day. Before we take a look at our beautiful crystals, which look so good by the way, I wanted to take a brief minute to discuss the science of what's going on. So the way we made all 3 of those crystals, either using borax, table salt, or Epsom salts, were pretty much exactly the same. The only thing we changed was what we were adding to the hot water. And this is because, chemically speaking, borax, table salt, and Epsom salts are all chemical salts. A chemical salt is something that is made up of a positively charged ion, so a positively charged molecule or element, and a negatively charged ion, negatively charged molecule or element that have combined together. So borax is also known as sodium borate. Sodium is positively charged, borate is negatively charged. Table salt is sodium chloride, sodium being positively charged, chloride being negatively charged, and Epsom salts are magnesium sulfate, magnesium being positively charged, sulfate being negatively charged. So when those combine together, they create salts. And these salts are actually already in the form of a crystal. And a crystal, chemically speaking, is just something that has repeating units of elements or molecules in an orderly structure. So we already put crystals into our hot water to make even bigger crystals. That's right, we're using baby crystals to grow big crystals. And what happens is we can dissolve a lot more of that salt, epsom salt, or borax into hot water than we can cold water. So we heat up that water, dissolve a whole butt-ton, that is a metric term, yes, a whole butt-ton of chemical salt into that water and put our little snowflake in there. And as the water cools down, it can't hold as much salt anymore, so that salt turns back into a solid and grows onto our pipe cleaner snowflakes and grows in the form that it already existed in, a crystal. Just now it's a bigger crystal that we can see and enjoy. So that's just a little bit of the science, and funnily enough, I don't know, obviously coincidentally enough, that's exactly or almost exactly how snowflakes in real life are formed. Instead of being made out of borax crystals or salt crystals or epsom salt crystals, they're made out of ice crystals. So if you're curious a little bit more about snowflake formation, last year I did make a video on that, so go check that out now. Ooh, we like all the crystals. So now I've kept you waiting long enough, let's take a look at the crystals we made. First up, I have our borax crystals. So these are super fun. You can see that there's just crystals have built all over like the glass itself, which I think is cool. It looks really pretty in the sunlight too. And here is our snowflake. So glittery. So I think this definitely gave us a good result. And the borax crystals are kind of clear-ish and also sparkly and pretty. Let's take a look at our salt crystal ones. Here's our salt ones. You can see all of the salt that's like formed on top and this whole salt disc that came off with it. So not quite as many crystals, but they're still there. But in contrast to the borax ones, these ones are a lot more solid and a little bit tinier. Still really fun, and I kind of actually just dig the salt disc on top more than I dig the snowflake itself, if that makes me weird. I don't really care. And then finally, the epsom salt one. Oh, this one didn't really work. I don't quite know why. Let's see. Yeah, this one, there's not really any crystals growing on our snowflake. And maybe I just didn't put enough epsom salts into the water, or maybe this one just doesn't like to as readily form crystals as our borax and table salt counterparts, but still a fun experiment to try different things and see what will crystallize and what won't. Personally, to me, I think if you're looking for a super fun and sparkly and really easy to grow crystal, the borax crystals are a definite winner. I know there is some concern about borax toxicity or like effectiveness for pets and kids. Just make sure it stays out of the way of pets, and if your kids are doing this experiment, just keep a close eye on them and make sure they wash their hands after they're done. You shouldn't have a lot of other problem with borax. Other than that, I've been making slime with borax since I was in like preschool and have never had a problem. But if you are still concerned about it, the table salt alternative is a great route to go, because that is, you know, it's just table salt. The worst they'll do is get a really salty mouthful. And if you like the look of the table salt crystals too, that's a win-win. So I had a lot of fun making these crystals. I hope you guys tried this at home, and maybe even try some other things like you could find in your kitchen to see if those will work as well. Maybe try it with some sugar, see if the sugar will grow big crystals. I don't know. Maybe that's how rock candy is made. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, check me out on Instagram, check out my Buy Me a Coffee page if you want to support this channel even further, and keep it sciencey!